Welcome everyone to another Virtalis public webinar series. My name is Michael Ewing. I am the Business Development Manager for Virtalis' North American operations. We host a public webinar session just about every month. We like to host them at least once a month. Sometimes we have to push it back and wait another month before we can push one out. But we do like to host these sessions to give you further education on some of the new VR technologies that are coming to life, especially in 2017. We've got wonderful VR and AR solutions that are coming to the market. Something like the HoloLens, of course, the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift are out. Virtalis is working towards developing on some more VR capabilities and adding things like the augmented reality solutions into play as well. So we are developing on those solutions moving forward into 2017. The reason for today's public webinar is I want to chat with you about affordable VR for engineering. As you know, there's a lot of hype that's happening in the VR market. A lot of these solutions that are coming to fruition are very low cost, and odds are on your desk right now maybe there's a 3D CAD workstation PC that you could use for VR. Okay, so today what I'm just going to go ahead and do is walk you through our agenda real quick. So I'm going to run through a very brief Virtalis solution overview, just telling you who we are, what we do, and then I'll move on to telling you more about what it means to get into affordable VR solutions for engineering. After we get done with the presentation slides, I'll stop, I'll take your questions, okay, so for a brief break, and then I'll pass it over to Brandon Barber, who will give you a full visionary render demonstration. Okay, and then at the end of this, we'll review some next steps, we'll take any additional questions you may have, and move forward from there. All right, let's get started. So who is Virtalis, right? Really, Virtalis, we are a virtual reality and advanced visualization company. We're providing our customers with the opportunity to really understand their information and data by allowing them to interact with it, right? And so really who we're working with mainly is these engineering groups. We're working with companies like Lockheed Martin, BAE Systems, Raytheon, Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. All of these users are taking our visionary render software and applying it for their design reviews. What they're also finding is that, hey, these solutions can be used in engineering, which is great, which is the main use case, but then they're bleeding that into marketing. They're taking their VR headsets and their products and they're taking them to trade shows. Then they're giving the solution to their maintenance teams, right? So they're providing training scenarios and simulation. So there's really an all-around solution base here within Virtalis that we provide our customers to ensure their overall success. So our main office is in Dayton, Ohio. Okay, we're actually headquartered out of the United Kingdom. We do have offices in Germany and Malaysia as well. I do like to say that we're a global company. I also like to say that we're a global company with a local touch, really meaning that we have representatives that are all across the globe who are supporting our customers to providing them with professional VR solutions. We've been doing this for about 28 years now, since 1989, and over those 28 years we've really generated about 300 man-years of VR experience. So when it comes to true professional VR and building fully customizable units to accommodate your needs, we are the solution experts in the field. Okay? So this is a really important slide. This is really the overview of what we provide our clients. So Virtalis' advantage is that we're a one-stop shop. And so really what that means is that we're providing our customers with full turnkey solutions. So whether that be fully immersive hardware for your 3D stereoscopic views or an easy-to-use software solution, one that we call Visionary Render, so you can create, edit, and manage your own virtual environments. Right, we provide those solutions as well. And once we've identified that Visionary Render is the software solution for you, and we need to identify a system. And once we've identified that system, what we do is we actually come in, we set up that system, we install it, and then we support and maintain it for as long as you're with us. So we've worked on a number of special projects. So whether that be building a fully customized hardware system like an active wall to accommodate a specific room, we've done that. Or whether it means that we're going to build out your own customized user interface within the software, we've done that as well. We've even done things like maintenance trainers, 3D simulators, and rarely, we've done things like 3D corporate movies as well. These pictures I've put in this slide here I think are important. They're relatively old pictures from 2014 when we were at the PTC Live event, back when it was live and now it's ThingsWorks, right? But if we're looking at the bottom right picture here, this was when they opened up the floodgates, right? They let everyone downstairs, and we had this mad rush of people that came to our booth because in 2014, VR was right on the cusp of being, really, really exciting. So we had this mad rush, and it was consistent throughout the entire week. And so we actually had to start feeding in, the bottom left picture, 10 to 15 people at a time because we were getting overwhelmed. And so I do like to show these pictures just to show you that there's a massive excitement over VR. And, we go to trade shows every year, and this has been consistent throughout the years. So the excitement's still there, and people are still adapting and growing and investing into these VR solutions as we're moving forward towards towards 2018. Okay, I just wanted to provide you guys with a case study so you kind of really understand how VR is really being used at a large scale for engineers. So this is one of my favorite case studies. It's at a BAE submarine prototyping system. So really what they're doing is, if you notice this picture at the top right, there's about 5 stories up, there's a trailer. It's not in the picture, but in this trailer there is like an active wall, right, which is a rear projected wall system. And what they're doing is they're having their engineering teams and their installation teams go up to that room before they go and do the installation on this submarine hull. And they'll say, Mike, today you're going to go into the engine room and you're going to install, this part of the engine. And that requires you to practice these 10 steps. So they'll let me practice those 10 steps in a virtual environment and do them as many times as I need to do them to understand exactly what needs to be done. So by the time I get done with my 10 steps, I go over to my boss and I say, hey, I'm good to go, right? Or, hey, I need to try again. I'm still not comfortable with it. So you do it as many times as you need to before you go down and do the install. What they're finding is that they're using this technology not just at this facility, but they've got 7 or 8 different facilities, across the United Kingdom, where they're collaborating with each other. Right? They're doing virtual prototypes and submarine walkthroughs of this naval ship before they ever do any installation on the hull. So it's really a solution that they've found that they were just planning on using it for installation training, and now it's design reviews, right? Maintenance training, simulation, and walkthroughs. So it's really an overall solution that's been very good to them. We've actually been partnered with BAE Systems for about 15 years now. They're one of our longest term partners that we've had here at Virtalis. So they do a lot of great things. Okay. So I'm going to run very briefly just through our ActiveWorks portfolio. This is just a list of our systems that we provide. I'll just give you the overview real quick. The top 3 systems, the ActiveCube, the ActiveWall, and the ActiveMove, these are all fully customizable systems. So what that means is that there's really 3 components that go into building these units. Okay, so the first is screen size. Depending on the size of the room, right, we're going to custom fit the screen to fit that room. The second is projector specifications. If you're going to install a rear projected system, what kind of resolution do you want to have? Is it going to be 1920 by 1080? Is it going to be 4K resolution? How many lumens are you going to want to have? Because we can go up to 35,000 lumens, which is extremely bright. And the last thing is tracking technologies. So we can get very accurate, and we can track your fingers, right? We could track just your head and your hand and be very basic, excuse me. And then what we can also do is we can provide you with a full tracked bodysuit, right? So you can do your things like motion captures and ergonomic testing and so forth. So just to kind of give you the overview, the ActiveCube is really a 4 to 5 sided cave environment. It's got projection systems to the sides or to the backs of each screen, allowing you to, when you walk into this environment, you're fully immersed. So you look up, you see the virtual sky, you look down, you see the pavement under your feet. To the left, there might be a highway, to the right, there might be like a park. And in front of you, there might be your system, right? It could be a house. So you could walk into that house, and now you're fully immersed in the house. So it is, in my mind, one of the pinnacles of VR experiences, being that you feel you're actually in the actual environment. But you can also have 5 to 6 people in that same environment with you, watching you while you're tracked, and being a part of that design review session. Okay? The ActiveWall is, like I said, fully customizable. I've seen them go anywhere between 24 to 28 feet long. I've seen them 13 to 16 feet tall. I have seen them larger and smaller. But really, if you look at this picture here, there are infrared tracking technologies on the sides and the tops. What you don't see is there's actually those tracking technologies around the entire room. So as you're tracked in front of this wall, you can actually walk around the entire room, and it's going to track your orientation in front of the system, right? Behind the screen, there's 2 projectors. So we've actually blended the image in the middle, allowing you to reach into the screen, pull your models out of the screen, right, kind of like Iron Man, and then be able to interact with those models. You can have up to 20 to 30 people behind this gentleman, right, who are viewing what he's doing in that 3D environment. Now, the active wall is a static system, so it's not going to be able to be moved, which is why we developed the active move system. Okay? The active move system is transportable. The difference, what I say, between transportable and portable is that you can't pick up the active move, put it in a suitcase, and take it with you, as opposed to the active space and the active desk. These are our portable solutions. The active move system comes in 2 standard flight cases. It can be wheeled through any door, and it takes about 45 minutes to set up. It's usually about 10 feet wide, 8.5 feet tall, and has about 10 feet worth of depth to it. You'll notice, maybe you can see on the sides and the tops and bottoms of this screen, we have what we call intersense tracking technologies. These are ultrasonic tracking rails. And so on your glasses, you would have a receiver. On your hand controller, there would be a receiver tracking your head and your hand, and you'd be able to walk around that environment. Again, having about 20, possibly 30 people behind you viewing this in real true 3D. So because it's transportable, people are taking it to trade shows, right? And then they're bringing it back and they're using it for design reviews and maintenance trainers and all types of great things. Okay? The active space, we actually use the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift now. I put in an old picture here because I wanted to just tell you that part of today's session is about affordable VR. Affordable VR. And this gentleman here is wearing an old NVIS head-mounted display. Kind of looks like it came from the 80s. But this head-mounted display was about $15,000 to $16,000. So that's really how far we've come. Now we're buying the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift for $800. And it's working just the same, if not better. So it's very exciting. It's portable, and you can run it on a laptop now, which is even better. Okay. The Active Desk system. This is a 24-inch HD display monitor. It's really used for quick design reviews. So just as you're seeing this gentleman here, he's being tracked, right? So you'll notice the top of the monitor has 4. There's 2 on this side and then 2 on the other side, 4 optical tracking sensors. And this man's wearing a pair of passive glasses that have reflective ball nodes on them. And in his hand is a stylus pen. So you can actually reach into that screen, pull his model out of the screen, and let go of the button so that model stays outside of the screen. And because his head's tracked, he could lean to the left and see the left side of that model. He could lean to the right and see the right side. He could even stand up and see the top or look underneath and see the bottom. So the Active Desk is a wonderful solution for the users who are working in 2D and just want to get a quick 3D visualization before they go and take their design models to a larger display, like a wall or a move. Okay? Visionary Render is a software solution we'll be demonstrating for you today. I'll let Brandon go ahead and talk more about that when we get to the demo. Moving on, let's get into the affordable VR for engineering. So I drew this up over the last couple of weeks, really, and really what I identified is that there's truly 3 phases, almost looking from a bird's eye view from the top down. There's really 3 phases to going from introductory VR to full integrated professional VR. So I'm just going to walk you guys through some of the solutions that we provide our customers and how they progress from phase 1 to phase 3. So just getting started, what we would advise is that if you're looking to get into VR, you don't have any solutions in place, buy VR for CAD. It's a very low-cost solution, and it's really a wonderful way to visualize your CAD data in a true 3D environment with little to no latency issues at all. It's fantastic. So let me tell you about why we developed it. VR for CAD was really developed because of the advancements in computer graphics, right? As you know, and as I mentioned before, you may already have a laptop or desktop that's sitting in your office right now that's got the proper graphics and processing power to run an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive. So we took that into consideration, and we actually developed VR for CAD for those users who wanted to get started and didn't want to have to spend too much money to do it. So what we're discovering is that this has been out for about 4 or 5 months now, guys, and what we've really discovered is that we're putting VR for CAD on almost every CAD designer's desktop. It's been a huge success so far. And so let me tell you about it. It's really exceptionally easy to use, right? We can import about 90% of the CAD packages on the market. When or if you decide to purchase VR for CAD, you're going to purchase VR for CAD, and that's going to come with an importer. It's also going to come with the drivers that support the Oculus Rift, the HTC Vive, the Z-Space, and even 3D screens if you want to use that. It's truly a gateway to professional VR, so it's a fantastic place to start. You can view your models at a real-world scale. You can load reference models to set the scene, allowing you to really interact and assemble with your models and parts. And then when you're ready, you can even do 3D slicing and use your annotation tool to put notes in the scene for the next user who wants to come in and have a view. So allowing you to save your scenes is exceptionally important in that effort as well. So like I said, it's about $1,200 to get started with VR for CAD. That's an introductory offer, and that's good until May of 2017. So if you come to me and want to buy VR for CAD, right, today you're going to save, right, about $1,300, which is exceptional. On top of that, you know, if you do buy VR for CAD and then you decide to upgrade to Visionary Render, I discount that cost. So if or when you're ready to purchase that, it's an e-commerce trade. So you can just get on our website, fulfill the information, put on your credit card information, and we'll provide you with the licenses in the download link for you right away. Okay? So assuming that you already have a 3D ready desktop or laptop, that you already have an HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift, you would just be buying the VR for CAD license. Okay? So that's about $1,200. If you didn't have those hardware pieces, it would be about $8,000, which realistically thinking is not too bad. Also, if you did want to invest in a Z-Space, right, we could provide you with a Z-Space to run VR for CAD as well. Am I doing on time? Okay, we're good. All right, phase 2. So we want you to really get a taste of VR with VR for CAD. One of the things that we're finding so far is that the users who have VR for CAD are saying, this is great for viewing. It's really a wonderful review tool, but I want to do more. I want to create animations and I want to collaborate with my colleagues across the globe or in the same building. You can surely do that in Visionary Render. So what I went ahead and did is I've created a couple slides just telling you why you might want to upgrade to Visionary Render. And here's just a quick list. In Visionary Render, we're going to allow you to modify the CAD tree, right? So that product tree that's in our tool. We're going to allow you to create, edit, and manage your own animations within Visionary Render. And Visionary Render also allows you to put the software up on a active wall or active cube or active move and be fully tracked, right? So within VR for CAD, you're only going to be able to use the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift or that Z-Space or 3D screen. So Visionary Render is the next step, right? You're going to be able to do live video streaming, bring in your point cloud scans, and even if you needed to, use Elite Motion, which is just an $80 tracking system. Okay? Also, like I mentioned before, you can, fully supports collaboration. So I could actually see your virtual avatar within the scene. You can interact with one another. You can look at the product scale, look at the product models, determine whether the system you're working on has the proper form, fit, and function to do what you need it to do. All right, we're going to allow you to change materials. Visionary Render supporting drag and drop, and we also have a built-in Lua scripter in here as well. So again, if you want to review this, I will send this to you in an email so you have it. You can share it. All right. So really, phase 2 brings about a new process, and that typical process usually goes that you're going to purchase the upgrade, which is Visionary Render, which is about $32,000. And then you can start to really implement this process. So usually what happens is there's somebody who's an engineer who's at their desk, and they're working on Visionary Render on a 2D screen, doing their edits, creating their animations, putting in their dynamic sections and notes and so forth, and almost creating a PowerPoint type style to the design review that they're preparing. So once you're done doing the 2D screen preparation, then you put on the HTC Vive or the Oculus and you walk around it, and you're really there with your model. It's realistically a VR prototype at that point. You're doing your checks and measurements and saying, okay, here's some of the focus areas I want to go to. You can have those focus areas set to fly points, where if I hit 1, it's going to fly me to the front of my vehicle. If I hit 2, it's going to fly me to the back, and so forth. And when you're ready, you say, I think I'm happy. I'm gonna go ahead and organize a larger audience design review with my engineering team. And so then that's when I would advise that you would go forward and truly get into professional VR. Purchase an active move system, right? The reason I tell most of my customers to purchase the active move, and the reason why most of them do, is because it's not just for one use. Like I mentioned many times now, is that it's the engineering teams, it's the manufacturing guys, it's the marketing teams. They can all use it. And usually what ends up happening is that you have so many requests for people who want to use it and take it and move it around the office and take it to trade shows that you decide we need to have a static system. So that bleeds me into really phase 3, which is a full integration and expanding your efforts globally. So just getting into this, if you're going to start to fully integrate virtual reality, and especially using our software and our hardware to do it, what you start to find is that there's a significant return on investment with VR. And that is that you're going to catch your design problems early, right? You're going to reduce or potentially fully eliminate your physical prototypes. You're going to optimize your development. Rather than having just proven designs that work, you're actually going to determine that, hey, there's a lot of the great things that we can do to make this product better. It works fine now, but let's make it better. This is going to provide you with enhanced tools to help aid your engineers among many other teams. And it's going to allow you to really enhance the communication that's happening cross-departmentally within your organization as well. What's also very cool is that your business development team leaders can come in and they can have their own active wall or active cube within your headquarters. They can bring their clients in, and then they see what you're doing and they go, wow, that's cool. That's bleeding edge. And so they're really impressed by that, and that's really just another perk that goes on top of that. So I did want to show you guys this quick slide here. This is really the product life cycle, right? So as you start going through your virtual reality experience and getting fully immersed and using VR on a daily basis, you'll find that VR and simulation is really most effective through the concept and design phase. Again, catching those design problems early reduces the risk, right? Because we're catching those costs to fix at an earlier point. So I'm sure you guys understand this graph. I'm sure you've seen it many times before. But optimizing your design, catching design problems before they get to the physical prototype, and test validation, and heaven forbid you catch a problem at the production size that's very costly. So we want to make sure that we support you and that you have us as a team to make sure that we are catching those design problems quickly. Okay. At the end of the day, once you started to really implement this, you'll have multiple sites, you'll have multiple licenses, you'll be collaborating with many different types of people across the organization, both internally, right, and also externally. So what we've really identified is that our users like Raytheon and BAE Systems usually have a number of locations. And locations 1, 2, and 3 would have a secure server to collaborate, and they're collaborating with their customer, right? They can also bring in their suppliers. Excuse me. And so really what they're doing in these environments is they're going through fly-throughs, they're doing their checks and balances, they're verifying the proper form, fit, and function of their machines and making sure that they have all the proper parts to actually build their first prototype, right? So this is just a wonderful slide to kind of wrap it all up and give you an overview. But really what we're finding is that the active move, it's really quite a low-cost solution when you think about it. But as you start getting into the active wall, there's more customizable things you can do with that wall. You can install an active cube, which is really top-end pinnacle VR experiences. In fact, we just installed a 5-sided active cube system at Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. It is one of the largest active cubes in North America. I think it is the largest active cube system in North America. And they're using that for massive ship designs, right? So Visionary Render is the software that they've chosen to use. And what's impressive is that we actually were able to view just under a terabyte of data within Visionary Render, and Visionary Render didn't crash, and they were very impressed by that. But at the end of the day, guys, these guys are collaborating with their suppliers, with their manufacturers, OEMs, and their clients, and they're using it on a very large and global scale. Okay? So that's it. I know it was an earful. I hope nobody's sleeping, but if you do have any questions, I would be happy to answer them now.
This is Greg. I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering how big was that cube that was at the Royal Caribbean?
Yeah, so
dimensions?
Yeah, it was about 17 feet wide. I believe it was about 11 feet tall, and that was the front screen. The side screens were the same size. The ceiling was, oh gosh, I forget the size of the ceiling. But the ceiling didn't cover the whole top. It was about 3/4 covering the top. And then they did have a glass floor, which was about 8 layers of glass that they were able to walk on and see. It actually makes the image quite more crisp, if you will.
Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure. Any more questions?
Yeah, on the VR for CAD, kind of two questions on that one. Does that have the same limitations or lack of limitations in terms of the file sizes? Because I know that tends to be one of the issues that we have. And the second question would be on the importers. I noticed that you're taking Creo View but not Creo, but then sort of on the opposite side of that, you do directly the CATIA files, but not the CATIA Composer, which is their equivalent to Creo View.
So are you just talking about VR for CAD and the importers for that?
Yep.
Okay. I think it's a select amount of importers that we've chosen to provide for the user. Typically what I would do is, if you needed to have a different type of importer for VR for CAD, I would surely be able to check in with my immediate team and see what I could do to get you that importer. Because I know that's been kind of an ongoing issue, is people have different importers and they want to use VR for CAD, but it's just not on the list. So get a hold of me and I'll see what I can do for you.
All right, and the poly count limitation, is it's essentially the same engine
It's the
as
same
Visionary
engine.
Render?
I
Okay.
imagine we haven't really tested a massive data set in VR for CAD, have we, Brandon?
As far as polygon limitation there really isn't any difference between it and Visionary Render at that point. You can load whatever data set you want to on there, and then you're going to be restricted by your graphics card and processor from there. Visionary Render doesn't necessarily have a limit as to what it can bring in, and that applies as well to VR for CAD.
There you go.
All right.
Great question. Thank you. Any more questions, guys? All right. Very good. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Brandon Barber. Just as an introduction to Brandon, he is my applications engineer. You may often hear me tell you that he's my demo guy or my demo jockey, but he's really a wizard in the software. He'll be able to answer any technical questions that you may have regarding the tool. And without any further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it to you, Brandon.
All right. Hey there, guys. My name is Brandon Barber. I'm the applications engineer here. I'll be showing you around Visionary Render. Anytime, feel free to just kind of stop me and ask some questions. I'll pretty much just be talking, going through as many of these points as I can. So, first off, what I want you guys to notice here is just the plain menus. I guess I should say first off, can everybody see the wind turbine on the screen?
Yeah, looks good.
All right, perfect. So the hierarchy here on the side is laid out in a way that it is the same as it was in the modeling software. So you're going to get the exact same tree, which is this V90 bit of it. But additionally, you have the opportunity to add your scripts, your animations, your scenery, anything like that that might additionally be here in your scene beyond the models themselves and the metadata that comes from the modeling software will all also be right here. In that way, you will have it what you see is what you get kind of layout, where you're not searching for different tools or options or anything like that. Everything's right there in front of you and really easily accessible. So it is really nice just as far as working in the software to have that. Beyond that, the ease of access with our tools is really nice. You'll notice a lot of drag and drop once I actually start messing around here in the software. But we have a lot of tools that kind of optimize workflow within the software and allow you to do those checks. Now, currently, Mike and I are in a collaboration session, and he's in the Vive, where he can fly around, take a look at the scene himself, and make modifications to the model in a tracked mode. So Mike will be flipping around, and we can watch him do his thing as I'm discussing this. So The other bit we did touch on that I did want to mention as well was the fact that we can handle the huge data sets. We can do point clouds, models, and materials that you can bring in. From there, everything else is kind of created within Visionary Render. Now, just to kind of start here, I do want to click on, we'll just say the entire V90 wind turbine here. And we can take a look at the properties of said turbine going into this properties window down here. So you get your basic position, rotation, scale, what the actual size of the models is in a bounding box scenario. And then if you select a part, you also get a model preview, the model part associated with the material override that can easily be navigated to by simply clicking on it. Any link within the software will have the exact same means of navigating to, you know, model and animation, anything like that. It's always going to be a link in there that can just take you immediately to it, adding to that ease of use. I think what I want to start getting into is some of the actual tools here within Visionary Render. So what you're noticing now, obviously, is Mike jumping around here, working on the model. And what I can do as he's flying around is add little notes into the scene that will kind of communicate with him. So because I'm also flying around the scene with my little avatar, not with working hands or anything, but because it is untracked, I'm just kind of behind my laptop right now. He can still see my location, and I can still drop in little notes for him to take a look at. So I drop that, and I can add, Mike, please move this model here. And when I do that, I'll have to enable my annotations again. But he's now going to be able to see this model and move it around accordingly. So this tool does act kind of like a PowerPoint, but in 3D. It's really cool like that. So say if I'm working, you know, at my facility, and I add these little notes all around my scene, and I want to pass it off to somebody else in another facility that might be doing the modeling over there or something, I can add all the notes I want, and then they have these arrows that they can cycle through the different notes around the scene. So the one being up there, we didn't really come in the exact same way that I created the viewpoint, mostly because Mike is rotating the viewpoint at this point. But if I were to add another one, say all the way out here, and I'll just, you know, say this is the stem. I can zoom in a little bit, hit the tip of the blade with this one. I'll just call this one tip. And now I can just cycle between the two of those, no problem. So there's the stem viewpoint, there's the tip viewpoint the exact same way. So I can focus on a certain point of interest, and then as the next user comes in after me to use that, it'll take them directly to that viewpoint that I was at, so they're not missing out on any information that I'm trying to convey to them with that, like I said, that point of interest there. So that's our review tool. Very cool stuff there. Beyond that, we have some kind of basic tools that you would definitely notice, you know, in other CAD viewing softwares. So we have our basic animations that you can create, and I'll go ahead and create one just real quick because it's a real easy thing to do, and I feel like it would only benefit you guys in seeing what kind of goes into it, because it's really easy to do. So first off, what I want to do, because I don't think Mike can hear me right now, I'm going to tell Mike, oh, you can hear me? Okay, perfect. Mike, don't mess with the panels or undo right now, so I can pull back these panels in an animation.
You got it.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the model that is this panel here, and I'm going to right-click on it, go to Create, and Sequence. And what I want to do is make a sequence of just these panels just rotating to open up. So what I want to do is create the position rotation scale manipulator, our PRS manipulator. I'm going to move it over to where a hinge probably would be. And then I'm going to drag it directly into this animation sequencer. Oh, Mike, try not to undo. I'm trying to create an animation here.
Sorry.
So I'm going to drag it in there. I'm going to keyframe it in its original position, and then I'm going to swing it open, keyframe it one more time, and I can pull out this keyframe about up to 2, let's say, and now I have a nice little animation of this swinging open. Now if I want to, I can also add another panel into this, just the exact same way. I'll create the pivot point, I'll drag it directly up into here, I'll make sure that the first one doesn't accept new pivot points. We'll keyframe that into place, and then we'll open it to about there, where we keyframe it again. And now we have both of these moving at the same time, opening and closing. And if we want to, we can actually even drag the tracks to where they're going to be offset, and they'll go one at a time and open like that. And there's Mike popping out of one to wave to us. We can also support camera tracks. While I'm in here, I'll go to Create Camera Track here and do a motion capture on myself, so that whenever I start to move around the scene, we'll just have this little animation that I can then go and do a playback with. So as I play this back, we're going to fly around the wind turbine like that, and then we're going to zoom up on these panels, and then the panels will close. And just like that. I mean, that's a whole animation. Real easy and simple to do. Lots of drag and drops that you noticed. Do you guys have any questions on at least anything you've seen so far? I'm going to take the silence as a no. Okay. So beyond our basic tools, we have our dynamic sections there too. Viewpoints to where you can fly to pre-selected areas. So if I wanted to, I can pull up my user interface here. Let's pull that up across the top, and I can do what's called a dynamic section. Again, like this is just another tool where we can move this clipping plane to just cut out half of this wind turbine so that we can take a look at the whole thing rather than having to dive in there and go to a certain spot where we're blocked by other models. Here we can actually get moving parts in action, and Mike can fly around there and have full range of access of anything that he needs within the range of his responsibilities. So what I want to show you guys a little bit here now is, oh yeah, so here's, real quick, these are the viewpoints. So across the top here, I can fly to any of these pre-selected areas, and just by a button click, we'll just be there immediately. Now, Mike actually was playing with this thing over here, this visibility scroll bar, that he can move the scroll bar up and down to actually use what's called a group to display just certain parts of this little area right up in here. Now this area has like this compartment. It's very complex. There's a ton of different parts in there, most of them really small, and it's kind of hard to grasp what all is in there just at a glance. So what we've done is added this scroll bar over here that Mike can toggle the level of visibility. So as he puts this cover back on, he can then use the scroll bar to cut away just part of the models and toggle visibility on other parts so that he can take a better look at what section of this compartment he really needs to take a look at. So, or at least like how it fits together. Now, we are able to do collision detection tests in this as well, so that if I wanted to, say, grab one of these bolts, I'm going to grab the white piece in the middle, this cylinder part, and I'm just going to add collision detection to it, and we'll make all the color, or the color that it's touching other models with will be this red color. So if I pull this out, Mike can now grab it with his hand. Mike, can you see it over there? Can you move that around and kind of just take it into, oh, not that one.
Which one?
The white one. This white one up here.
Oh.
Yep. So as Mike grabs this, he can now take it and move it in and apply that collision detection to the other models. And you know, that's just another example of him and I working together, him being tracked and I untracked, just kind of coordinating the session itself. Now, of course, if we were two people both being tracked in the Vive, we could go in and do like a two-person training session, you know, that might require two people. That's very possible, but in this very use case that we're doing right now, I'm kind of driving the session, and Mike is kind of following the orders and doing the procedures himself. So then I can tell him, you know, hey, Mike, you did that wrong. You need to use the other model or the other tool, or you need to make this bigger, whatever. And then he can go in, practice again, and, you know, I can just coach him from there. Last thing I want to mention, really, at least for now, until you guys come up with some questions maybe, we do have real-time lights and shadows that we can handle. If I were to create a light right now, we could definitely take a look at any of the shadows in some sort of, you know, test that we do. So if I hit cast shadows there, what you'll see here on the side of the Vestas wind turbine is actually Mike's shadow going across it in real time. So yeah, you can see it right there. I can probably turn up the intensity a little bit so it's a little bit easier to see. Mike, go ahead and keep moving there for me. There we go. So real-time lights and shadows, whether it be from other models or the avatars themselves, it certainly will be applied. You can set any of them to you know, not apply a shadow if you so choose, but it really does add a level of depth when you're immersed to have the real-time lights and shadows. You doing finger puppets over there, Mike? The other bit I want to touch on the realism is our texture maps. So if I were to select one of the texture maps that we have here, and I'm just going to do this blue one, you see that we have the option to change the color to whatever we want to. We can change the opacity, but the level of realism side of things, you can add texture maps here. So you can make things smooth to where they look a little bit shinier. You can actually see the reflection of a cloud off this Vestas wind turbine right now in Mike's shadow. But down here you can actually add your bump maps, your normal maps, reflectivity maps, and that's the stuff that really makes your models come out and pop, and it's going to cause them to look like they're more realistic. Now, of course, we are working with NVIDIA to incorporate iRay into our software right now, and we're pretty close to that being kind of just our standard at this point. But I think come summertime, we should have iRay completely incorporated and ready to use, and the testing done and everything. But iRay is going to allow for more realistic light reflections and refractions, and that's going to, you know, add the softer lights to your rooms. It's not going to make the CAD look so CAD-like, you know. A lot of times you get these crazy CAD colors, and the CAD lighting isn't quite as soft as it needs to be. So that'll be fixed soon enough. I don't even want to say fixed because it's not a problem in an engineering software most of the time, but it is something that will be available here very soon.
Very good. So I went ahead and took off my HTC Vive, and I wanted to make sure that we stopped for a second. We just showed you guys a lot of stuff, so I want to make sure you guys have a chance to open up and ask any questions. We'd be happy to take those now.
Hardware recommendations?
Yeah, so with the HTC Vive and the Oculus Rift, it's really pertaining to the to the graphics card that HTC Vive or Oculus Rift is going to tell you to have. Typically, what we do when you are using a projection system, like on a wall or a Move, we would highly recommend that you get an NVIDIA Quadro card. That is a standard. It's really a mandatory standard as well. So you have to get an NVIDIA Quadro card, and usually what we do is we go ahead and build out all of the hardware, the PCs, and everything that you need to get it running. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, the Quadro card is pretty key, and they do have a pretty new series that they're introducing that are all VR ready. So I think there's 3 of them right now. But yeah, the GeForce cards, the newer higher end ones. What's the one that just came out? The 1080. That would definitely work with anything that we have going, of course.
Yeah,
But,
and that's actually sort of the crux of the question, because I mean, typically when you get into, like, the Oculus or the HTC, a lot of the graphics engines are centered around sort of the DirectX, the gaming engine, if you will. But on the CAD side, we're typically used to the Quadros on the OpenGL. But a lot of the gaming benchmarks, if you look at things that have gone on, the 1080, especially the 1080 Ti that's supposed to come out here in just a week or so,
yeah.
I mean, is really sort of a Quadro amped up, if you will. So I don't know if if you're not leveraging things that card would take advantage of, and the Quadros are still going to outperform the 1080s, or.
Well, it's not that we're not taking advantage of it. I mean, the GTX cards, the GeForce cards, all things like that, are generally focused around rendering, and specifically more like feature rendering, like the iRay stuff. That would definitely be more under the GeForce side of things. When you're talking about Quadro, the Quadro talks or is kind of more focused on the large data sets. So the fact that we can handle those huge data sets without a large hit in performance, that's because of the GeForce card. I'm sorry, I'm mixing those up right now. The Quadro cards. So yeah, it is supposed to be more like GeForce is focused more around effects, like you said, gaming and stuff. And we're definitely not a gaming software. We are an engineering software, and as such, we require an engineering card.
Right.
But the fact that the gaming industry is starting to bleed into the engineering industry, we're just having to make those changes just to keep up with what's going on with those guys. So, I mean, we are incorporating more and more of what gaming is starting to bring to the table into this. But I mean, there are steps that we have to take, and we have incorporated quite a bit of it too. Now we have a Vive right now running. What Mike is on right now, he's on a laptop that has a Quadro card in it. So no GeForce necessary. I think he's still running at like 50 frames a second or something like that. The Oculus with the touch right now, it's currently running on a GeForce or a Quadro card as well. So yeah, I hope that helps. I mean, it's not like we're limiting ourselves. But
real quick, I just want to elaborate. Some of these new cards that are coming out, especially Pascal cards, I know are hitting hard. It takes us about a month, possibly or potentially 2 months, to write the drivers to support visionary render on those cards. And we're usually, I mean, we're pretty quick about doing it. So we do keep up with the pace that's happening. So fantastic. Is there any more questions we can take from you guys regarding hardware or software? Any of the capabilities we could show you or answer for you?
Yeah, just to check, what version of Visionary Render are you showing here?
Yeah, so we're at version 1.3.1 right now. And what I'm going to be doing in our next public webinar is talking about some of the release notes for version 1.3.2. And really, from what I understand right now, the next version, it'll be coming out in early summer. And early summer will have some fixes, of course, but majority of what we're doing in that next version is going to be adding more importers to the list. So currently we have, we really support about 90% of the CAD packages, but there's also some sneaky ones that are in the background. I know one of them that has been requested a lot has been Revit, and bringing in Revit models has been tough. Because usually what we have to do is export out of FBX, or I'm sorry, out of Revit into FBX and then import the FBX, which works really well, but people want the direct import. So early summer we should have something to test and show and share with our clients or anybody who's willing and able to test out and try Visionary Render. Okay, so we're at 1.3.1. We're going to 1.3.2. Hopefully getting to 1.4 by the end of fall, I think, maybe even the end of summer. That's what we're targeting. That's a good question. Okay.
Are you able to import models from a variety of different softwares into the same environment?
Yes. The answer to that is yes, but I think when you say softwares, do you mean different CAD packages?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So you can bring in any number of any different type of CAD package imported directly into Visionary Render without any issues whatsoever. And as long as you have the positional data associated with those imports, they'll come in exactly the way that you had them in the CAD package into Visionary Render as well.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Also, I may want to elaborate on that a little bit as well. If you have any metadata that's associated with those models that you're importing, they come in as well. And everything as it was imported comes in as it was in that hierarchy, right? It's brought into Visionary Render exactly the same way it was in the CAD package. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, good question.
So then can you access that metadata within the environment?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hey, Brandon, could you show us where we could find, I don't think we have any metadata in here in this one.
No, not actually, kind of. So if I click on this, you'll notice down here is some metadata. So, here's a note, the export axis system, the Y is up. So Z could be up, whatever. There's the, I don't know. You can have any sort of metadata in here. So it's garbage in, garbage out. Whatever metadata you have associated will come in with it. So even if you have a bunch of blank ones, they'll still come in.
Cool. Okay, how are we doing on time? We've got about 3 minutes left. Okay, so Brandon and I are going to stay on as long as you guys need us to. For now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to wrap it up. So I'm going to go back to my presentation here and let's talk about some final ending comments here. So what I have is, here we go. All right, so just as next steps, guys, if you're looking to get started into the virtual reality world, if you're looking to go through an introduction and work through those phases with us, we'd be happy to support you. What I'd like to propose to you today, especially to those people who are new, I'd like to propose that you get started on a trial license of Visionary Render. It's a 60-day trial license. You can pick as many importers as you'd like to try. We'll give you all the license keys for those 60 days. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll sit down with you and provide you with some basic level training on how to use the tool. We'll walk you through even on how to create your own first virtual reality environment that you may want to use. Okay. Second option is come visit our VR showcase here in Dayton. All right, just give me a call. I'd like to have at least a month in advance. I'd be happy to schedule you, bring you in, and show you our Active Move system, collaborating with the Active Desk and the Active Space units as well. As a third option, if you're interested, we'd be happy to come visit you. So if you let me know where you're at, I'd be happy to organize a week-long trip and build some different companies around you that I would be happy to come to visit. During that session, we would bring our Active Move system, our Z-Space, our Active Desk, and our Active Space HTC Vive units with us as well. And typically how that works is we have 5 one-hour sessions with usually about 10 to 15 people per session. And so we'll be there all day, and we'll show our software and our solutions to you and your team. And from that point on, we'll work with you to ensure your success on any VR solution you choose to use. Okay? Well, everyone, thank you so much for your time today. If you do have any questions or if you'd like to take next steps into consideration, don't hesitate to contact me. I'll send you all this PowerPoint presentation slide, and once the video is up, I'll send that to you as well. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.